How can you not get excited for this one? The much anticipated UMass Minutemen are coming to Tallahassee. So enormous battle for the Seminoles, looking for 3 in a row. All right, Logan Robinson, Knoll Game Day, and up top, Jason Parker from NBC6. They make it happen each and every week here at Florida State Seminoles Live. Boys, how we doing?
Good. I'd rank this, and Logan, you can help me out here. I'd go FSU UMass, Florida State Notre Dame in 2014 when it was number 2 versus number 5. Maybe Florida State Miami in 1991 when it was 1 versus 2, only because we lost that one. But I think this might rank among the top games in Florida State history, right?
It's going to be a fun one. The Walt Bell Bowl in Doak Campbell Stadium.
Walt Bell will be back in Tallahassee. Who would have thought they would have allowed him back inside of Bollywood Field?
Regardless, this team can get to 3 and 4.
And we talked a little bit about it last week. I think it's important, and we'll talk a little bit about over the course of the next hour about why we should just maybe wait until the game is played before we automatically count this one as a W, obviously because of what has happened so far this season. But that being said, a win here could go a huge way to telling us what the last 5 games of the season are going to be. Because we talked about how tough those last 5 games of the season are. A win here, a little confidence, 3 straight wins against a few teams that are starting to look a little bit more, I don't want to use the word beatable, but it's the best word we can use, a little bit more beatable. Florida State could be sniffing bowl eligibility. I don't want to get too cocky about it, but it could. It could possibly happen, Logan.
It could. There's a very, very high chance that Florida State can potentially, they'll, of course, this weekend continue that winning streak, as I think we'll all predict. But, Florida State did lose to Jacksonville State, so I think everybody has that in the back of their head, and that's understandable. Norvell commented on it a few times this week after practices, saying that they can't overlook this weekend. I know that he got asked about, how excited he is for the future games like Clemson and Florida and Miami, but he made sure to keep it dialed in and saying we will not be looking over this weekend's opponent, and they will be, stuck on this game plan against UMass, which I think is obviously what you have to say, and I think this team is set on competing against UMass.
Before we talk about this upcoming game, before we talk about recruiting news and whatnot, I have to ask you the most important question. Will you be bringing my free swag to the game this week? I will be there. I will be in the press box waiting for you. You're going to be in charge of watching our camera and microphone when I go down the second half, because I'm going to be there shooting the first half of the game. So you're going to be in charge of watching it. If it gets stolen, that's $60,000 on you. So
dang.
Yeah, our equipment's expensive. So I'm going to need you to take care of it. Okay.
I will take good care of it. You can trust me with that.
Can I?
I'm just going to say yes, you can.
Okay, cool. I'll take it.
Yeah, so I'll help you.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward. It's homecoming. It is homecoming week in Tallahassee. I wanted to vote online. I wanted to vote Logan for homecoming chief, but
my God. Yeah, no, this year, no, just in that credential life now, just don't have a lot of time. Before then, yes, I would have been full. I would have a 3-month campaign going for it and have Facebook ads and IG ads for it. But just because now we're on the credentialed life and at these practices, we're just going to stay away from running for homecoming court this year.
You could have talked about it in the Discord every single friggin' week.
He said it first.
I did.
He said it first.
I did it. You just have to accept your fate and move on. So.
You've opened the floodgates, Jason. If we say it 50 times after this, you can't say a word about it.
You are 100% correct, Mark. Okay. You are 100% correct.
I want to know how excited you guys are about this football team, because if I would have said before the season started, hey, you're going to be 3 and 4, and I know we can't count this as a victory, but we are going to take that step. They are playing one of the worst teams in FBS football. So let's just take the step briefly that you're going to be 3 and 4. I don't think either one of you would have been fazed by that. You would have been like, I wish we would be a little bit better than that. considering the UMass game and the Jacksonville State game should have been gimmies. But at 0-4, and now Syracuse, yeah, that's a game Florida State should win at home, better program, etc. But Syracuse is a pretty good football team. They took Wake to overtime. They almost beat Clemson Friday night. They're not a bad team. They've played 3 down-to-the-wire games in the ACC against Florida State, Wake, and Clemson. Pretty good football team at Syracuse. Beat them. North Carolina, 17-point underdog, down 10, come back and win that. And on top of that, you watched your rival go to North Carolina this past weekend and lose that game. So things are pointed in the right direction.
If you want to take it even a step further from that, we've talked about this after they lost to Louisville to drop to 0-4, was they were 3 plays away from winning 3 of those games. I mean, you lost to Notre Dame by a field goal. You lost to Jacksonville State by a field goal. You lost to Louisville by 8 points. Conceivably, you're 3 plays away. This is obviously being an optimistic world. You're 3 plays away from being a 5-1 ball club right now. So it's not as if this is the sky is falling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Now, one of us may have acted like the sky was falling back at the end of September. I'll say it me right now. Are we still out of the problems? No, God no. Because odds are we're going to go to Clemson next week, and and we'll talk about that as we go on. But that game doesn't look like as much of a blowout as it did at the start of the season. I still think Clemson right now is going to win the game, but who knows? We'll see how Clemson looks this week against Pitt. I'm a lot more optimistic right now. And we talked about a little bit about it last week. I'm a lot more optimistic at where we are now, both from how the team is playing. I'm optimistic that the defense finally woke up and played like a decent defense last week against North Carolina, against a good North Carolina team, a good North Carolina offense. And I'm also optimistic, like we said, because of looking at the opponents we have left, of the 6 opponents we have left, and how many of them are having their own issues. Miami can't seem to keep anyone healthy on their team. Florida's lost 2 of their last 3 games at this point. Clemson is not anywhere close to the same Clemson we've seen before. I think Boston College is starting to – I think they hit their plateau early. So that's where it's conceivable. That's where you can say, if you're saying Florida State has to win 4 of their last 6 games to be bowl eligible, it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a potential there for Florida State to get there. It really just depends on how mature this team is. I'm interested to see how they're going to play this upcoming weekend with getting that high feeling of beating North Carolina on the road, where a lot of people weren't expecting them to win that game whatsoever, or really be close there into the fourth quarter. But they were the ones that were way ahead, and North Carolina was trying to play catch up for a majority of that second half. And then they go into a bye week. And from what we've seen at the practices, it seems like things are just how they were last week or 2 weeks ago preparing for North Carolina. That's a really good sign to see. And Norvell said that yesterday he thinks that the practice might have been the best that he's ever seen during his tenure at Florida State, which is something, a really, really good sign whenever you're facing the worst opponent on your schedule this season, that you're having some of your best practices. You take that any day of the week. And I think that's it shows the true turnaround that I think Norvell and the staff are trying to do. I mean, these guys, there's no breaks in practices. Very physical this week. Really aggressive. I think the defense has won the week so far. They'll practice tomorrow and we won't have media access, but this defense came hungry from the start on Tuesday morning. And there's guys having really good competition, good reps, good one-on-ones, good O-line, D-line going at it. And, that's really a good sign to see. And guys that are healthier now too, with the little rest that they had, able to see Deshaun Corbin practicing. And then you also see Devontae Love-Taylor dressed and participating a few times in drills. It's just a good thing to see in the middle of the season. And practices they don't change. It's just the same thing. And that Norvell, I know today's practice was up and down, and I saw that early on. I know he thought things were a little sloppy. The offense was kind of out of rhythm, but the defense is doing its thing, and guys making mistakes here and there. But it's a learning game for a lot of these younger guys, and he knows that. And they're trying to build a whole new identity in Tallahassee, and it's gonna take a little bit longer. But for them to have one of their best practices that Norvell has ever had in Tallahassee with Florida State on, for a team that should be beaten by 30, 35, if not 40. I think that's a really good thing. I think it's something to keep an eye out for them to have a really solid day on Saturday afternoon.
Now, our gentleman guy, if you want to go back to that one, Mark, if you could, please. He just said what I was about to ask you right here. On paper, Jacksonville State is ranked in the FCS polls right now. They're a good FCS team. UMass is, with all due respect to the Minutemen, the worst team right now on our schedule of our 12 regular season games. Judging by what happened here on September 11th in Tallahassee on September 11th, tell me, Logan, convince me. I'm giving you a chance right now. You can convince me why I should be optimistic that Florida State won't have the same letdown here that they did after a overtime loss to Notre Dame. Everyone giving them credit. Hey, you played well. You played great against the top 10 team, and then you lose to an FCS team, first time in program history. Convince me that after a 2-game winning streak, finally getting some life in them, that there's not going to be a letdown against UMass.
I think it just goes back to what I was just saying about them being completely dialed in for this week and practicing well and them being competitive and them being a little feisty with one another. I think that's a great sign. Guys being healthy too, but they could be all healthy and everything. And we saw with Jacksonville State, they could still, blow that. And that's just a mental thing for them. The talent obviously is levels and levels and levels ahead of what that matchup was against Jacksonville State, and that's going to be even more of a margin between Florida State and UMass this upcoming weekend. But it's just a mental game for them. I think Walt Bell is going to try to call this is his Super Bowl of Super Bowls right here, and to potentially save his job here is to actually have this be a competitive game, and that's what he's going to try to do. But this one I think is just going to be all about mental. I mean, it's going to be making sure you're making your reads right, understanding what kind of scheme that their offense is going to be calling, because I think they're going to do a lot of trickery with Florida State's defense, and it's just going to. I think the coaches, they've got a good game plan for this, but they've just got to play smart. That's all it's going to be. It's going to be a mental game. But let's be honest, this game there shouldn't be a game going into the third quarter. At the halftime, it should be over, and you should look forward to potentially seeing Chubba Purdy out there, get some of the young freshmen on offense there too.
You love you some Chubba Purdy. You love him.
I don't love it. We know who QB1 is. I haven't given a lot of love to Chubba Purdy yet.
You do. I will say this. I did watch UMass last year. I was at their game against FAU, and UMass scored a whole 2 points in that game. So they're not. Once again, let's play politics for a moment. Let's be political with our answers here, just because of what happened earlier this season. They're not a good team, and I think we are going to win easily. We'll give our predictions later on in the hour, but there's just it's going to creep in, and I feel like there's a lot of FSU fans who will be in that stadium on Saturday for a noon kickoff on the ACC network, probably followed by lacrosse or something, that are going to be a little bit nervous just because of what happened 1 month and a half ago.
Jason, you're being kind, calling them a not good team. They're one of the worst 3 to 4 teams in the country.
We lost any room to talk smack.
I understand.
Stay through Hail Mary. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. And if your team's going to meet a standard and eventually be a championship team, then you take that same work ethic, focus to every practice, to every game, regardless. To quote the master, it's about the process.
Right.
Nick Saban, it's about the process.
Correct.
But this team, just to read you the scores, they lost to Pitt 51-7. They lost to BC, somehow, somewhat stayed in the game, 45-28. They lost to Eastern Michigan, 42-28. They lost to Coastal Carolina, 53-3. They lost to Toledo, 45-7. Then they pulled out their first win of the season against the mighty Huskies of UConn, 27-13.
I mean, any team that beats UConn should be feared. That's what I'm just going to say right there. but my concern also, and Logan, Mark, if you guys want to jump in on this one, my concern is also, let's say Florida State comes out big win, blowout win against UMass. Then my concern is that we can't really use this as a building block for the Clemson game the following week, the NC State game, because you look at our streak, our next 3 games after that are Clemson, NC State, and Miami. All 3 games that on paper we could win. all 3 games also on paper that we could lose. So that's what I'm saying. I don't want to put too much on this UMass game. I guess my biggest goal for this UMass game, my key to the game, if you will, nobody gets injured. Jordan Travis doesn't get hurt. Jayshawn Corbett doesn't get hurt. Jermaine Johnson doesn't get hurt. Nobody in the second. That's my goal in this game, is that everyone leaves injury-free.
I think this could be a perfect situation for Florida State because they're getting game reps. They're getting game reps against a real opponent of some level. And hopefully, if it is a 4-touchdown game at halftime, they can work in waves of the depth chart, but they can still get in reps for all their key guys and their young guys. And they get a week off to a certain extent where they're not, hitting their lights out against an ACC opponent, but they're getting game reps to get ready for the Clemson game.
You all also remember that Derwin James got injured in a game against a Charleston Southern team that we were beating. I believe the final score was 52-8, 56-8. Logan, I'm not sure on that one. So yeah. So that's until the game ends and nobody's injured, nobody's hobbling off the field. Clean game, guys. Just clean.
I think it would be, though, for like a big answer, though. I think if Florida State, annihilates UMass, I think that creates really good momentum, too. You keep the winning streak going, but it's been a while since Florida State's annihilated teams that they should be annihilating. I think that answer right there, and it'll also make the fans happy, obviously, and you feel a little bit more better. But, you're not wrong, Jason. You want to keep a really healthy team going into Clemson because that is going to be I think it has potential to be a really good game. Not how it used to be where Clemson, it's over third quarter. You kind of knew that at halftime maybe, but I think it would be good for momentum, be great for recruiting. Just keep it going. I know it's just UMass is UMass, but putting some points on the board and just wrecking a team is something that Florida State we haven't seen be done in a while. Really, the last thing was North Carolina. I felt like that was kind of over. After Florida State put up 21 points in the third quarter and UNC didn't score anything, like that felt like, okay, this offense is turning. That's the fun thing. And I think Florida State fans will be excited to be in the stands to watch that offense in person because that was really fun to watch on TV. And Jordan Travis was just everywhere. He was throwing well. He had guys open. The game scheme and the game play, like the play calling was really pretty, and they should be able to have a field day. A lot of guys should be able to get some highlights this weekend. So we'll see. I think though, even if they were to if they win 54-17, I think it's still a good. It's big for FSU, and it stinks to say that, but that's big for FSU.
You're going 54-17. That
whoa! I never gave
that wouldn't cover the spread. I know you like to cover the spread. That's all I'm saying.
No score predictions yet. They have to wait, and they have to also have the subscribe button. Not even the like button. You have to hit the subscribe button for that one.
We'll talk about the like button in 12 minutes, but so no prediction.
12.
Got it.
8.
12.
6:22.
At the time, we do this show for an hour. God, you not know how to do math. God.
We do it at 6:30. 8 minutes.
We do it at the half-hour mark of the show. God, guys,
6 o'clock.
Guys, if you contribute to the Super Fund, we can buy Logan some math tutoring.
In 8 minutes, it's 6:30.
What's 60? Half of 60 is 30. We can do it like that, guys. So seriously,
you said 12 minutes. You said 12 minutes.
Help out the kids.
12 minutes. 8 minutes. You mean?
Help out the kids.
What? He graduated before me, by the way.
I did a long time before. I'm older. I'm an old man. You can tell by the receding hairline. That's why we wear the hat.
You are an old man, Jason.
I am.
That's okay. We still invite you back and have you here. We need that older perspective.
Yeah, let's compare ages, Mark. Let's go ahead.
We need that.
You want to open up that bottle of Arc? Let's go there. Only one of us here is a member of AARP. That's all I'm saying.
Whoa.
No, you have to be 50 or older. You look good for your age, Mark.
None of us hasn't lost their hairline yet.
I call it a yarmulke mark right there. That's what it is. I will say, Mark, you look good for your age.
I appreciate that.
Logan, you look a little rough for your age. That's all I'm saying.
Dang, Jesus. It's been a rough last couple of days. I'm tired and everything.
Somebody told me that recently, but they were just setting me up because as soon as I said thank you or whatever I said, they said something like, "Yeah, you look really good for like 68."
Jesus. I'd give you mid-40s.
So I will take that.
Logan early 30s.
6 games in, 6 to go, exactly midway, and we did some of our mid-season grades last week. Logan, we'll start with you. I want to hear from both of you in regards to what have been surprises on this team, whether it's particular player, particular game, particular unit on the field that has performed considerably different than what you thought before the season, whether good or bad. Anything you've been surprised by? Or if you guys are struggling for that, and I understand, looking toward the second half, what beyond the, hey, we want to go 6-0, what's going to be the biggest keys to having a successful second half? So I'll give it a two-parter.
We're not going 6-0. Let's just all be honest with ourselves right here. Can we just?
Whoa, what?
I'm calling it. We're not going to go 6-0. I love it, but I don't think we go 6-0 again this season. I know you don't either, Logan. I know you're trying to get the people to view no game days.
Hit the like button. I mean, that's what I got to do it. Nah, I don't think that's going to happen. I would say one surprise to me, and it might not be an optimistic thing, but I think it is. It could be a neutral one here, and Jason will probably agree, is Andrew Parchment. A really big surprise that he was supposed to be wide receiver 1, and that doesn't seem to even be the case. He might not be wide receiver 2 or even 3 right now. That was the big offseason talk about him transferring from Kansas as coming in and being a big-time playmaker for Florida State. That has not been the case. Yes, he's made some flashes and some plays here and there, but he is not that wide receiver 1 right now for FSU. But who's the replacement there? True freshman wide receiver Malik McLean. He is really fun to watch at practices. I think I Discord messaged about him like 15 times in the last 2 practices. He's going to be he's the real deal. Florida State found a gem with him. And to hear, some things that I was hearing early in training and camp and things, maybe his mental not being solely focused on football, and there's some things that he was trying to work on. And then you hit that whole 180 where now he is one of your best blockers on offense out wide as a wide receiver, along with him. Beautiful route running. He goes up for the ball. He can contest. He's your guy to go to if you're one-on-one. He can go deep. He can go to the end zone and make grabs. As a true freshman, number 11 is going to be the real deal. It's bittersweet. You don't really have Andrew Parchment producing like you had thought, but Malik McLean comes in as a true freshman, and he's a starter. I mean, he's been a starter for weeks, and he started off because the Notre Dame game he blocked very well. He did that the second week too, and so he gets his name put out there with the starting group. But Malik is going to be a very good wide receiver, and this is just the first half of the season. Get ready for the second half of the number 11 show on offense.
This is what happens when Logan and I are together too many times. We start to think alike because I agree with you 100%. The biggest disappointment so far this season has been Andrew Parchment. I watched him down here when he was in high school, down here in Broward County, and you expected big things. I didn't think he was going to be our number 1. I thought he would be definitely in the top 2 because of his size, because of his ability, because of some things that he did. Yes, it was in Kansas, and I'll admit Kansas is a god-awful program. But still, the things that he did there I thought would transfer over well. I wish I had an explanation why he has not been able to adapt so quickly and succeed in the offense, but he has not shown up. That's been the biggest disappointment, I would say. The biggest surprise is I expected them to do well. I didn't expect Jermaine Johnson to come in and just ball out the way he has on defense. And I think also Keir Thomas coming in from South Carolina, the Miami native coming in, I think both of them have been key on that defensive side of the ball. But, Jermaine Johnson was good. He's coming from a good Georgia program. But, I mean, and Logan and Mark, you can jump in on this one. He has just been a man amongst boys against a lot of good offenses. And Notre Dame in the opener comes out, and then North Carolina last week, a lot of good offenses. and he has shined against them so far.
Yeah, Jermaine Johnson has been the dude. Go ahead, Mark.
And it's not just about the sacks, which are the obvious stat that everybody runs to, the 6.5 sacks. But I know in watching some ACC network coverage, in which Jason is a huge fan of.
Now, did you record the field hockey episode and then the football just happened to come on, or did you record? Was it
Sometimes
Dynasty,
it really pisses me off because I'm trying to record lacrosse and field hockey, and like the football game overlaps the time, and I don't get the full record on the lacrosse game,
right?
And it becomes a big problem.
Or like a day in the life,
or the
of Mike
women's soccer game,
right? A day in the life of Mike Krzyzewski, whatever shows
yes.
they got going on, or Mark Rick babbling on. Got it. Okay.
But to their point on this particular show, they were talking about Jermaine Johnson, and beyond the sacks, which is an overrated stat, just disrupting plays, just getting to the quarterback, even when it's not a sack, consistent pressure, quarterback hurries, just being that force that any good team needs at least one dude that's going to just terrorize the quarterback.
Yeah, that's kind of like I'm thinking of it. My fellow Steelers, my TJ Watt had a phenomenal game on Sunday Night Football and showed why he should be paid the way he is.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not. You don't have to record the sack, get the pressure, and it just causes the quarterback to have to move, and then allows Keir Thomas, like you said, Jason. Keir Thomas has also played fantastic for FSU this upcoming season, and toying around with the quarterback and making him have to run around allows for Keir Thomas to get back there and get the quarterback. And did you see too during the North Carolina game, they're toying around with Amari Gaynor now, which I thought they should have done earlier in the season. And we talked about it in the offseason, but Florida State, I thought, and Adam Fuller were going to move around Amari Gaynor, because I feel like that's the best way to use him right now, as use him as a pass rusher, blitz, and those kind of schemes. And they did that, and it worked phenomenally. I mean, you're kind of moving around. You'll move around Gaynor behind a few defensive linemen and kind of mess around with things. And you also got Keir. You've got already Jermaine Johnson doing his thing. So it allows Amari Gaynor, who might have a little bit quicker than Keir and Jermaine are, to, find that quarterback that's, running for his life when Jermaine Johnson is bringing pressure.
Jermaine Johnson looks right now, when I say a man amongst boys, he looks like somebody who could play for, I'm just throwing out an example, a defense like the Baltimore Ravens, the team that has the best record in the AFC right now. You watch their game when they beat the Chargers 34-6. They didn't have to win in overtime on a field goal like your Steelers. But just throw that. I didn't know if you got a chance to watch that on Sunday. Because you were busy. I know what you were doing Sunday on the bye week. You were practicing hitting the like button. You were practicing with your finger hitting the like button, weren't you? Just doing this the entire time.
I literally just sat there on Sunday before the game, no studying, no watching other games, but I woke up and I just immediately went and hit the like button on all of Mark's videos, and I just practiced hitting it, as a tester and to get ready for Wednesday night. And I suggest everybody do that right now. Just take a test, hit the like button, 21 likes. We can get this to 30 in like 10 seconds if we do it correctly. But hit the like button. Goes out to more FSU fans that are watching. Get to hang out with us every Wednesday night at 6:00. There's nothing better. And I don't know what's going on. We had close to 100 on last week, and then now we got a game week. We're back. Bye week's over, and no one's excited for UMass, the Walt Bell Bowl. What's going on?
It's because it's all the Miami fans who are still, they're on the excuse train right now after their loss to North Carolina, because some teams in the state of Florida actually beat North Carolina on the road. Yeah. Some lose, and have proved they have no defense. So that's what they're a little sad right now. Don't worry.
Well, they got another North Carolina team to deal with this week that I don't know that that's going to be a win either. Hummus Hero, though, I like where you're going with this. So Hummus wants me to get into the Discord game as well here.
I thought he was trying to say Logan. Football. I thought he was trying to say Logan should be the voice for the Discord.
No, I think we need a voice of college football only Discord, and then I'd be able to jump in there. Jason, go in there and chat too. I mean, it could be.
I'm not giving you $2.99 a month to hear you babble on the same way I hear you babble on every Wednesday.
You could do it. You could go into Mark's, and he might have like a free rate for you, or maybe you get exclusive access for being a co-host on one of the shows.
It's possible. I like that.
So Logan, talk up the the Patreon Discord and the whole deal here. We're talking only $2.99 a month, right?
And there's a dot in between that, like $2.99.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy. I mean, what, 45 updates in the last 2 practices? I mean,
just call me when you guys are done. Okay.
Yeah. You sit over there and you get ready for Kwanzaa. Well, here's the deal. Hanukkah, same thing. During practices, live updates, we got to tell you who the NFL scouts were in attendance. There was a former Knoll in attendance too. Actually, 2 former Knolls in attendance this morning at FSU's practice. But that's all that information, all the practice info, all the notes, how Norvell's talking, how the energy is, who's making plays, what's Malik McLean doing. Patreon.com/Knoll Game Day. Jason doesn't even know what a Discord is.
Sorry.
It's scary.
Blacked out for a moment.
Were you eating your salad again?
No, I ate my salad already. It was delicious earlier.
Jason needs to understand when you're running a channel, you need to take just this little small bit of time each show just to promote. You got to do it.
I love both of you. I will support both of you. I will support Knoll Game Day. When I get the Knoll Game Day attire, I will rock the hell out of it throughout South Florida. I will spread the good word about Knoll Game Day. I spread the word about MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. I tell everyone I got this thing to do every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. Get promoting Florida State. Just the word, that word. Ugh. I don't know why. It's just, ugh. It's like gator. Just ugh. Makes you nauseous.
So Florida State fans, the number one homework assignment here before you get off this show. Just head on over to Patreon and go to the Discord there, Knoll Game Day, and sign up there for $2.99 a month. That is a deal.
Come hang out with us.
If you want to go to the higher rent district, unfortunately, at $5 a month, but you can make that up if you take my picks there at 12-6 against the spread last week, 85 and 58 this season against the spread. So if you hit 52-53 against the spread, you're in good shape to make money. We're pushing over 60% against the spread as we do every year there at the Voice of College Football. So money well spent, folks.
And if you take my picks, you'll lose all your money except for
you're coming back.
I just want to point out real quick last week how many people picked LSU over Florida? Because I know I did.
I was thinking that too.
I did not. No.
This guy said LSU would beat Florida.
I wonder
mostly
why.
Because of my hatred of
well
Florida.
done.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Mostly because of my hatred of the University of Florida. But no, that's why I say when we talked about well, G-Dog forever. Sorry you lost that one. But that's what we talked about. We're at a point right now where before us, Clemson has to play Pitt, which I believe I owe you money because Pitt I believe has won more than 4 games so far this season. So I believe I owe you $20 for that one, Mark.
We did a preseason bet there, Logan, and we're not even out of October, and I got that one.
I think you've got that one written down. So we've got that one. So,
no!
So we'll get your address. We'll send you $20.
No, I think they need to win one more game. Technically, aren't they 5-1? Or are they 6-1?
No, it was 4 or more. It was if they won
4.5.
more.
I think
so
4.5.
So you won. So Mazel tov.
All right.
You got that one.
Thank you.
Damn.
But you look. So Clemson and Pitt play this week. I believe it's at Pitt, correct?
Yes.
All right. Pitt could win that one. I think Clemson does win that one, but I would not be surprised if Pitt makes it close or if Pitt pulls off an upset.
Kenny Pickett.
Clemson could come in 4-3 against a 3-4 Florida State team. So you've got that game. Then you've got Miami 2 weeks after that. Miami still has to play NC State this week at Pitt, and then they play Georgia Tech, a team that's given them fits before. Now, Miami has the talent to win all those games, but Miami could also lose at least 2 of those and come into Tallahassee 3-6. Boston College is starting to hit the downward slide on their schedule. Florida has lost 2 of their last 3 games and plays number 1 Georgia in 2 weeks. So that's more than likely a loss in that one. That's where we're at this point in the schedule where I would argue that the last 5 games of the season, if Clemson loses to Pitt, I would argue the last 5 for the last 5 are all toss-ups. I think NC State is the only one right now that NC State will come in as a guaranteed favorite. But I think if Miami plays down the way they've played the last couple of weeks, if Florida slips up against Georgia, they have to go to South Carolina. You don't know, SEC. It could happen there in that one. Boston College slips. If Florida State stays hot, there's a chance that there's 4 wins right there.
For the first time in forever, the ACC race is fascinating. I know that it gets dogged on nationally because we've got no college football playoff contenders, but for a conference championship, it's fascinating. You've got Wake and NC State both undefeated in conference. North Carolina State lost out of conference, but Wake at 6-0. In conference, they're both undefeated. You've got North Carolina State, obviously, the win against Clemson. So Clemson needs NC State to lose twice to get back in the driver's seat. And then in the Coastal is the typical, everybody thought it was going to be North Carolina and or Miami, and that's just a free-for-all. And
I was just saying, we talked about it. NC State could lose twice. NC State's the
Sure they could.
They could win out,
Oh,
or they could.
any of these teams could lose to any of them. They're the whole conference. We've seen Syracuse do what they've done the last 3 weeks. They haven't won the games, but they've gone down to the last play of the game against 3 of the better teams in the conference. It's crazy. And here's a stat for you boys. Clemson is an underdog in an ACC game. They're 3.5-point dog in this one for the first time since 2014 versus you-know-who.
Miami.
Florida State.
7 years. Florida State.
Florida
7
State,
years they haven't been an underdog. They play 8 games a year. That's 56 roughly games since they've been an underdog.
Right now, if the ACC championship game was played right now, it would be Wake Forest and Pitt.
I love it.
In a nauseating 8 o'clock nationally televised game on ABC.
Love it. I will watch that game over watching Clemson annihilate Pitt, fill in the blank, Virginia, whomever, as they have. At least it's gonna be unpredictable. It's gonna be okay. The winner's probably not going to go to the playoff unless Wake Forest does the unthinkable. But I'll enjoy that. I like this.
So let me ask you a question. We talked about this before. Wake Forest is undefeated, wins the ACC title. Cincinnati is undefeated, wins the AAC title. Both 13-0, win their conference championship.
Not even
games.
Close.
Hold up. Let me finish, please. And it's down to one final spot. Georgia's already in. Oklahoma's already in. Let's say your Buckeyes somehow get in, win the Big Ten. Because I think Ohio
somehow.
I think Ohio State's still in the driver's seat. Penn State's good. Penn State's going to give you a challenge in a couple weeks. But let's say it's Georgia, Oklahoma, and Ohio State have 3, and it's down to that final spot. Cincinnati over Wake. You're putting Wake in over Cincinnati.
So nobody thinks Wake's going to go undefeated, but we're playing hypotheticals here. And for some reason, even though I have been the person who has defended the little guy, the group of 5, to say, hey, you go undefeated, you should be able to make a playoff system. But unfortunately, we only have 4 spots. So for as much as I would love Cincinnati to get that opportunity, for some reason, just beating Notre Dame seems to satisfy most people. Oh, they beat Notre Dame. They're good. The rest of their schedule is atrocious. It's horrible. I did a video about a week ago where I compared Cincinnati's schedule and Wake Forest. They're comparable to date, but Wake Forest, we've already talked about that 4-game stretch at the end of the season. And even though the ACC is down and arguably the worst of the 5 conferences, I think it's 4th. Wake Forest's schedule's so much tougher than Cincinnati's. It's not even close.
Oh, no, I agree. And I think, but that's what I'm saying. I feel like the ACC this year is so god-awful. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. The only way Wake Forest could even sniff the playoff is they have to go undefeated. They can't lose a single game.
Can you imagine an undefeated Power 5 champion doesn't make the playoff? That's crazy.
In any other year, I would agree with you. This year, and as much as we're defaming our own home conference, that ACC is god-awful. It is a god-awful Power 5 conference this year.
But my last point is that Cincinnati plays in a much worse conference. It's not even close. The ACC is so much better than the American Conference.
But they did beat the hell out of UCF, and that made me feel good inside.
All right, back to Florida State talk here, folks. We're not going to disappoint you. Back to the FSU Seminoles. So Aluba, if I pronounced his name correctly, decommitted this week and seems to be headed for Athens, Georgia, where they've got a pretty good football program.
Yeah, this was something I don't think was a shocker if anybody was keeping in touch with his recruitment, but kind of even started a little bit the talk about it before the season even kicked off. And then, it helps to, Georgia and the place that they're at right now and the season that they're having and exploding there. And really, it was just coming down to Kirby Smart and, the rest of the Georgia staff really saying, hey, you're going to be a take here. You're not going to be a take here. And I think he got go ahead that he'd be a take. And he practically was a flip almost, but he decommits from Florida State. And then not much longer from that, he commits to Georgia there. But, he was a guy that, talented, plays at IMG. And I think Florida State, though, usually does a really good job of having a game plan afterwards. And I think, Coach Atkins and Norvell and Dillingham, they've got a plan in place. And, I know Jason can probably talk about it too for maybe another offensive lineman that Norvell and the staff are going to continue to get after, definitely after LSU and Coach O departing ways after this season. Not only that prospect, but, a few others at Florida State is actually, I think one is visiting this upcoming weekend. Not to get his name here in a second, but they have a game plan. They knew this was coming and, kind of just is what it is. I don't think Florida State fans are too broken about it. And I'll be honest, I think there's going to be a few more in the coming weeks that, Florida State fans should understand this is how it was going to go. We've talked about it before. They were fantastic. They did really good job this offseason. Didn't start out the season so well like they had wanted to, but there's going to be some guys that Florida State loses, but there's going to be some guys that Florida State is going to add, and that's just how recruiting goes. That's how it's going to go. They finally got to go on visits. These players got to go visit, be with the coaches and everything. It's going to change a lot of things. But yeah, Jason, if you want to bring up.
I think Logan, to touch on what Logan said, I think Logan's 100% correct. It's not so much of a shocker because you saw this one coming. There have been reports that he was going to decommit for a while beforehand. So this was not exactly a breaking news, oh my God, the sky is falling. I feel it does open the door. And this past weekend, Mike Norvell was down here. He was down with his wife and kid. We're down here in South Florida. He went and saw a couple of games in Miami. Saturday, he was at the St. Thomas Aquinas Cardinal Gibbons game, which they played up at FAU Stadium, which, by the way, just side note, we were so close to having a Norvell and Taggart being together. They were both on the same sideline. I was trying to get them to come together in a peace meeting. It was like the Israelis and the Palestinians. I was trying to get them together, but they couldn't meet. They could not sign the peace accord. But he was down there, and there's one guy for St. Thomas Aquinas that we've talked about him, Julian Armello. He's a legacy. His dad played for the team in the early 90s. He's down here. He was getting recruited hard by LSU and Alabama. Those were the two that everyone thought was the lead. Coach O leaving at the end of the season. There's going to be new staff coming in there in Baton Rouge. I still think Alabama is the favorite, but I think you're going to see Florida State make a hard push for him over the last month of the season. I think you get him back up to Tallahassee, probably even for that Miami game. Maybe get him, Marvin Jones Jr. Marvin Jones Jr. is already using the Miami game as his recruitment visit. And that's what we talked about. You got to get this win here. You come in 3-4. You don't have to beat Clemson. You have to look good against Clemson. If you can keep it, 10 points against Clemson, 10 points or less, or come out with a win, that's a win in itself. Because if you come in 4-4 into that month of November, or even 3-5 and looking good in the Clemson game, then all of a sudden you have NC State, Florida to showcase there. You're going to have the Florida game at the end of the season where you're going to have Florida recruits who I'm sure Florida State's recruiting a lot of those same guys. So there is a lot of room for recruitment at that point. And one of our reviewers here was asking earlier about the recruitment question. This is going to be a big time here. Not so much this UMass game, but Clemson's going to bring in recruits on October 30th who are looking at both schools. You've got recruits who are going to be able to come in for the NC State game. That Miami game is going to be huge. Because if we can bounce back from 0-4 to start the season, and then all of a sudden be in a better position than one of your in-state rivals, that fans and media members, I'm sure Cam Underwood is already trying to fire him.
Ooh.
I'm sure your other Miami guy, Holloway, is trying to fire him. They're all trying to fire him down here.
Breaking news.
What
Very rare. We just called it. Isn't it funny how this works? We're talking about recruiting and decommitments.
do?
Florida State just lost a commitment from Trevion Williams.
You jinxed us.
We just did it live there. 4-star defensive lineman Trevion Williams out of Mississippi.
Yeah.
Big boy, gigantic, big guy, big cat, just decommitted. A lot of Ole Miss and Mississippi State competing hard for him and his recruitment. But he committed on the spot during his visit. If we all remember the commitment video, and Jerry Jones was big on that commitment, helping out that. And they want to get a lot of the guys from the SIP over there. But Mississippi State guys are usually a little tricky. Sometimes.
God bless him. Best of luck in his future endeavors. And like I said, Logan, we talked about this beforehand. There was a point about getting all high and mighty when we had the number 5 recruiting class. We were so high. We had all these recruits. Anything's possible. 18-year-olds. We were all 18. We all made decisions on the fly when we were 18 that we regretted instantly within a week. So we're not going to hate on him. So best of luck.
Just to give the metrics on Trevion Williams here, we're talking about the 34th rated defensive lineman in the country, according to the 247 Sports Composite, 6th rated player in the Magnolia State of Mississippi, 260, 259 at National, 6'4", 254 out of Crystal Springs, Mississippi, 37 offers.
He's dead to us. He's Tupac. He's Biggie. He's dead to us.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, no, I mean, this was kind of expected, like we had talked about, kind of trying to hint at it. But, I mean, I think there's one and there's another one to look at. You got to keep an eye on Tavius Woody, another an offensive lineman / defensive lineman. Just depends on where you want to put him. But this didn't come too much of a shocker. I said a few weeks, but that was just a nice way of saying probably soon. But there's teams, Ole Miss, LSU, even Mississippi State, I think is a big one here. But it's a tough miss. But Florida State now fall to number 14 in the country in the class rankings, from number 12 to number 14 with the decommitment from Trevion Williams.
You want to jinx this anymore or what?
No.
You're good?
I'm good. We're good for this week. I don't think we won't have any more
All right,
while we're
Logan.
live on here.
Logan, I gave you my key to victory. Everyone stay healthy. That's my key to victory against UMass. Everyone stay healthy. Avoid the letdown game. Avoid a Jacksonville State Part 2. What is your key to victory against the mighty high school team called the UMass Minutemen?
The key to victory is all mental. That's all it's going to be. We know the talent is not even close. We know the physical part of this team versus theirs is not even going to be close. It's just all mental and just understanding and relying on the scheme that the coaches have given you and just trusting the process there and the game plan. That's all it's going to take. And just don't bring these practices. If they're showing all this energy and they're having great practices, guys making plays, bring it over to the field on Doak Campbell Stadium on Saturday, because Florida State fans have not really seen a really fun show in a while. Even though Florida State won against Syracuse, that wasn't beautiful. That wasn't just great. It was up and down here and there. But go in there and, have a good Saturday. Get in there. It's going to be an early game. It's going to be the earliest of the season so far, first noon game of the season. Go in there, make a statement, and show, Walt Bell, a good, nice gift there. He would love to come back into Doak Campbell Stadium and get ripped apart, I think, right?
I hope they serve breakfast for the rest of us. That's my big question.
Nah.
Are you going to get your breakfast for your first 12 o'clock game of the season? But I talked about it a little bit. I want to see, and I wonder, because you said it earlier, and I think you're correct on this one. Florida State hasn't dominated a team in a long while. And I'm talking about the old school domination, like the beating, how we used to beat Tulane 70-7, and we used to beat Cincinnati when Cincinnati was god awful. Just used to beat teams the way we're supposed to. This is our chance. This is our chance to put the fear back in Clemson, to put the fear back in Miami, to put the fear back in NC State, and saying, hey, Florida State had a crappy September. Florida State is back. Florida State is on their way back to being a dominant program. So I want Florida State to just come out. If it's 38-0 at halftime, try to score in that first possession in the second half. I need blowout. I need a 50-point win. I need something like you said, Logan. The fans want it. The team needs it. With that last 5 games of the season, that juggernaut of 5 games that we have against good teams that some are struggling, but they're still good teams. I need a blowout win. So Logan, give me your prediction.
I've got Florida State winning this game. They're going to continue their winning streak.
Bold.
Really bold here. Really bold. That is bold nowadays, isn't it?
Bold.
But I've got Florida State winning this game 45-17. I'm going to keep that 17 score just because I feel it. I felt like it was earlier this evening, and I think 45 points will be put up. Get ready for the Malik McLean show this weekend. That's what I'm putting down there. And Jermaine Johnson should, if he wants to rack up some stats and stay ahead nationally and all the stats that he's practically in, have fun, fella. But also, he doesn't need to be playing in the fourth quarter if things are going right. No reason to have him out there. That's how it should be.
I think you're crazy for thinking that UMass is going to score 17 points. I think you're crazy for that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You're crazy on that one. I'm going to say old school style, Florida State, 52. UMass 7. UMass gives them a sympathy touchdown.
Oh,
I'd say
okay.
52-7. I think this is the dominating game that we need. And I think, and we want Pitt to win. I think we all want Pitt to win, knock Clemson down a peg. And then next week we could be talking about possibly Florida State's first win over Clemson since 2014.
Jason, to follow up on your point about blowout wins for Florida State, I'll draw the line at 30 points. So the last time that Florida State beat an FBS team by that margin, take a shot.
Okay. I'm going to say Louisiana Monroe in 2017.
Bam. Well done, 42-10. The last win over a Power 5 by 30 points plus
was by 30 points plus?
Yes.
Well, we didn't beat Florida that badly. Did we beat NC State or Boston College by something?
The previous year, 2016, Boston College 45-7.
Yeah. God, it's like I know FSU football or something.
Slightly.
Yeah.
Smart.
Well done. You
Smart
guys have
man.
any interest in Spencer Rattler?
Nope.
I don't think he leaves Oklahoma. I think Caleb Williams is the flavor of the week right now, and he had a big game last week. But I think before the end of the season, Spencer Rattler is back to being their starting quarterback. I think if Oklahoma wants to make the playoffs, Spencer Rattler has to be their starting quarterback. Thank you. I am funny.
Whoa. No, I'm not interested in Spencer Rattler in Tallahassee. Number one reason is locker room. Norvell has been trying to fix that locker room and has been doing that for a good while now, and him being in that locker room wouldn't help one bit whatsoever. So no, on that front, I still think he's talented, but you still got a good quarterback room, and you'll have AJ Duffy next season. But I think I've been thinking about it too. Would Florida State want Spencer Rattler? Would they even be in the play for him? But get ready for him just to go to Georgia probably.
Plus, I would say after the failed experiment of Mackenzie Milton, no disrespect to Mackenzie Milton, but after that has not turned out the way everyone expected, I think we're going to be staying away from transfer quarterbacks for a little while.
I think mainly too for Milton. I think the positives though has been him in the locker room and helping Jordan Travis a lot. Jordan Travis talked about him today. Him and James Blackman were huge on him and helping develop him. And Jordan Travis wasn't a big practice guy. He kind of were just there for the reps kind of deal. But he said it's been huge for him watching film, being there, and supporting him has been huge. So that's I think Milton for that case. And I never expected Milton to be the starter throughout this whole season. I just never did. Jason, we talked about it a lot. I thought Jordan Travis was going to be the guy, and it took a little while for Jordan Travis to solidify that. But, Spencer Rattler, don't come near Tallahassee.
This has been fun, but Mark's got to go hear some excuses from Cam Underwood about Miami's failure. So
it is
let's
time to go talk
do
to
that.
Miami football.
So the excuse train
It is
and
that
Coral
time.
Gables will be there. So go ahead, have fun with this, guys.
It's a big day here at the Voice of College Football.
It is.
Florida State is a huge part of that. Enormous.
We try our best.
We appreciate Jason, Logan. Catch Logan on Knoll Game Day. So, Logan, if we get this straight, people need to go to KnollGameDay.com.
Mm-hmm.
So
We're
is there
there.
some kind of subscription deal right there?
It's not right there. That will take you to the site. But if you go to patreon.com/NollGameDay, it'll take you over to the Discord, where now probably a chat is going to be really fun tonight. Trevion Williams decommits, going to be a fun night there. We'll keep an eye out on who might be next. There's some names dropping, floating around in the Discord. So, yeah, we'll see you in the Discord. And tonight, 8:30.
Sign up for it and see what other bad luck Logan will bring. See who decommits
Whoa.
because Logan brought that bad luck and put that voodoo on us.
Keep up the Florida State talk, folks. 8:30 tonight right here on YouTube. Knoll Game Day. Good stuff. Jason, Logan, you guys make it happen. We'll see you next week.
Thank
Everybody
you, Mark,
needs to get back here with 5 friends right here at the Voice of College Football, Florida State. Next